The warm midday sun, when combined with a gentle and cooling breeze, offered quite a relaxing sensation. It was a sensation that a little purple dragon was feeling for himself as he walked along the vibrant grass of Equestria's rolling hills, his quiet anticipation at a forefront. Today was a day he'd been waiting for all week, ever since Twilight had excitedly replayed the other princesses' plans to him. Today was the day the princesses of Equestria were to check up with the still rebuilding Changeling Empire. More importantly, today was the day he'd finally get to see his Changeling friend again. As exciting as Twilight made pen pals out to be, chatting via scroll had gone out of style for the young dragon a long time ago, no thanks to Twilight. "Spike," came a voice by Spike's side, knocking him from his thoughts. "Yes, your highness?" he replied with newly rapt attention. "I'm very thankful for your assistance today, Spike," the soft voice continued. "My sister was determined to see that an entire squad of royal guards would accompany me to the Changeling Kingdom today, but I much more prefer the company of a good friend." The very same sun that warmed Spike's scales also reflected the light of an awe-inspiring mane, the mane of Princess Celestia. Even in casual stride and outside of her element, the Sun Monarch still managed to look regal and dignified. With Spike jogging along in hoof, the Alicorn Princess carefully began to navigate a short thicket of brush and trees, the destination now just on the other side. "Oh, it's nothing, your highness. You know me, always happy to help," Spike replied in a peppy voice. "Besides, I haven't seen Thorax and Starlight helping defeat the evil queen. I can't wait to see him. I bet he's always doing a great job as the new Changeling King." Celestia nodded, finding the young dragon's earnest to be endearing. "Now, how could I forget how close you are of King Thorax?" she chuckled with rhetoric. "Princess Twilight told me of the events in the Crystal Empire in great detail." As the last of the brush and trees passed them, a vast open landscape now lay before the princess and the small dragon. What was once a lower crater containing a wasteland of sand and dried-up plants was now a series of blossoming hills full of fresh grass and young, newly rooted trees. Rising from the center of this paradise was a singular structure still in the midst of being rebuilt and remodeled. What were once holes and jagged edges were now solid stone pillars surrounding a central tower, which touched the baby blue sky with a commanding presence. "You know, Equestria has a lot to be thankful to you for, Spike," Celestia pointed out, making her way down into the valley and enjoying the pleasant views. "Your act of kindness towards a lone straggler put in motion events that have led to a new age for changeling kind, and with it, a chance for peace between ponies and changelings, something that has never happened before." "Well, I guess that's true," Spike replied modestly, rubbing a claw along his green spines. "Thorax was just so lost and confused when I met him. I couldn't let him continue to be by himself. All he wanted was a friend, and no pony truly evil could ever want that, you know." "You're wise for your age, Spike," Celestia complimented, eyeing the many small dots flying around the structure like dust caught in a breeze. "You've always had a pure heart, and more than anything else, that trait has brought you many friends and allies from across Equestria and beyond." "Oh, come on, Princess," Spike said with a blush, climbing over a rock. "I just do my best to be friendly and kind to ponies I meet. I don't think that's remarkable." Celestia's smile brightened. The two were now close enough to see that a small group of changelings had been waiting for them at the foot of the massive hive. The genuine looks of compassion and love on their faces were something the Sun Princess had never thought she'd live to see from the former minions of Chrysalis. "A pure and compassionate heart is a gift, Spike," Celestia commented. "It is a beautiful power that Equestria can always use more of." The vast throne room, once lit with hanging cocoon prisms centered around Chrysalis' throne, was now an open and comfortable space. The ceiling overhead morphed to let light in during the day and keep the cold shut out at night. The walls split off into multiple hallways, with lamps built from the same luminescent material as Chrysalis' cocoons lining the corridors. In contrast to the dark throne that had once jutted up from the floor, now a small, modest throne set surrounded by a wide shelf of space. It was in this open space, at the foot of his own throne, where King Thorax laid himself down, enjoying the warm afternoon sun overhead. A handful of changelings were curled up and asleep by his sides, while the others relaxed nearby. To the untrained eye, a simple scene, if not an adorable one, but in reality, Every changeling was slowly regaining strength they had lost during the day by an unseen magic. By sharing in the Alpha Changeling's love for them, and their mutual love and respect for both their leader and each other, the Violet Bug ponies were rejuvenated bit by bit, all while simply spending time together. With a content smile, King Thorax gazed down at a particular blue and orange drone, using his front hooves as a pillow. As if sensing his gaze, the changeling tilted his head back to lock eyes with his king, twitching his ears and giving a puzzled expression. "Is something wrong, King Thorax?" the drone asked curiously. "Oh, no, not at all," Thorax replied. "I'm just so excited with how well the reconstruction has been going so far. Everything's doing a great job, and I'm so happy I can help you all rest like this." The changeling returned his king's smile, and stood up to stretch his wings. At the same time, Thorax gently began to wake the other drones, encircling him with his hoof. Time had flown by. Over half an hour had vanished in what felt like 5 minutes to the newly crowned monarch. "Tarsus, could you and the others take over the work being done to the left portion of Hallway X?" Thorax asked. "Please let the squad there know that they should rest for a while, and that I'm still stationed here should they like to relax and regain some energy." Tarsus fluttered his wings and took to the air, watching a few of the drones yawn and get to their hooves. "Of course. Thank you, King Thorax," Tarsus said with a nod of his head, soon signaling the others to follow him. The small patrol began to make their way towards a hallway leading off the main chamber. "Yeah, thanks, King Thorax. I feel great," another drone echoed, doing a few mid-air loops to demonstrate his point. "Who knew being lazy together could be so filling?" a third pondered out loud, as the sound of their voices grew too faint to hear. Thorax beamed after them. It was almost surreal to him how much had changed so quickly. He had undergone a drastic metamorphosis, replaced Chrysalis as the leader of the changelings, and was now rebuilding the hive into something that all changelings could enjoy. But even more than status and appearance, Thorax felt sheer joy from the fact that he was no longer an outcast from his species. No longer was he condemned to separate himself from other changelings for being different. No longer did he feel out of place. He could talk with changelings, joke with changelings, even embrace changelings, and be met with acceptance, not disdain. Thorax's thoughts were brought to an abrupt halt as the throne room's front doors opened. "King Thorax!" came the voice of a red and yellow guard drone, fluttering into the room and saluting his king. "Her Majesty Princess Celestia and Spike from Ponyville are here to see you." Thorax's lofty, thoughtful expression turned into one of adorable excitement. The princess he had been expecting, but Spike visiting was news to him. "Oh, please send them in," Thorax commanded, promptly getting up from his sitting position and perching himself on his throne. He wasn't too fond of it, but politics brought out his formal side. He was a new leader in the eyes of Equestria, and he wanted to make a good impression. "King Thorax, what a pleasure it is to see you again," came the soft and soothing voice of Celestia. Like a majestic goddess, she strode into the room, mane shimmering in the overhead light. Following after her was Spike, who, after maneuvering around Celestia's massive flowing mane, caught sight of Thorax and began to grin. "Oh, the pleasure is all mine, Princess," Thorax assured, raising a hoof and beckoning his guest to join him. "I hope you're doing well." "I'm doing just fine, thank you," Celestia replied, stepping towards the throne and settling himself on the rock floor. "Thorax!" came the excited voice of a certain young dragon. Before Thorax knew it, 2 small claws had firmly wrapped themselves around his front leg. With a welcoming smile, Thorax rested a hoof on Spike's head and chuckled. "Hey, Spike, it's good to see you again," Thorax said jovially. "How are things going? Any more adventures by Spike the Brave and Glorious that I should know about?" "Well, nothing so far, but give it time," Spike admitted, sitting down by Thorax's throne. "Though, you should probably know that ever since we got back, Twilight's been kind of obsessed with establishing new changeling lore for Equestria. She's bugged Starlight a lot, but of course she only knew so much. So now she's taken to sending you letters, but I told her you were a bit busy for that right now." The Changeling King laughed and rubbed the back of his head. "Yeah, we've been so busy here lately," Thorax admitted. To be honest, I did get a few of Princess Twilight's letters, but I haven't gotten around to responding just yet. I want to, but the construction has been constant, and it takes up most of my time just helping the other changelings. Oh, don't worry about Twilight. She won't take it personally, Spike said dismissively, relaxing his head against the side of the throne. She's just overexcited right now. She kind of woke up from a cocoon and found out an entire species had changed completely without her knowing. She'll calm down, eventually. Celestia giggled from a spot on the floor. Well, that's a relief, Thorax said with an optimistic smile. I'm really excited to exchange information with her. We've all been discovering new things about ourselves that we never knew before. Guess that's what happens when you transform and change your means of getting your food, huh? Thorax turned his attention again to the esteemed co-monarch of Equestria. She had crossed her front hooves and was now taking in the layout of the newly established throne room. With every eye movement, Thorax could tell that the princess wasn't so much observing the walls and architecture of his hive, as much as she was enjoying the atmosphere itself. Even the most emotionally stunted creature could feel the difference between Chrysalis' hive and this one. But for an alicorn as old as her, it must be a remarkable feeling indeed. Princess Celestia, Thorax began, I want to thank you again for taking the time to journey out here and see me. I know you must be very busy. Celestia's magenta eyes turned to fixate on Thorax. Her ever-present subtle smile never ceased to make Thorax smile as well. Think nothing of it, King Thorax, she assured in a gentle tone. Equestria has a unique position of having 4 individual figureheads. I would never ask a solo monarch of an entire kingdom to journey for the sake of my own convenience. I may be your guest here today, but in the grand scheme of things, I wish to do everything in my power to ensure you and your subjects feel comfortable and confident with myself and mine. Thank you, Princess. That's really considerate of you, Thorax replied, his eyes glowing with a humbled appreciation. I'm just as excited as I'm sure you are to develop our relationship from here on out. I'm confident ponies and changelings can become good allies, as well as friends. We're not so different, really. King Thorax, we finished the work on the southern end of Hallway X. Thorax, Celestia, and Spike turned their attention to a corridor adjacent to throne room's front doors. A small group of drones emerged from it, looking rather fatigued, but accomplished and proud nonetheless. The speaker at the forefront immediately came to a dead halt upon seeing an equestrian princess hanging out with his king. With an embarrassed blush, the green and yellow drone lowered his hovering attitude, his ears flattening. Oh, I'm so sorry, King Thorax and, Your Majesty, he stuttered out. I didn't mean to interrupt your meeting. I forgot that was today. Don't worry about it, Tibia, Thorax replied in a reassuring voice. That's wonderful news. What's the squad I sent to take over your work working on now? They're beginning work on Hallway Y's corridor's connection between X and Z, the changeling known as Tibia replied confidently, already regaining some composure. The other changelings came to silent landings on the stone floor, but maintained their positions near the hallway, as if unsure whether they should stay or leave. Perfect. The southern end of the hive will be finished by tomorrow at this rate, Thorax surmised. Thank you again, Tibia. Your squad's done great work today. Thanks, King Thorax, Tibia replied, rubbing one leg with the other, slightly embarrassed at being singled out and given praise in front of the fallen Sun Monarch. King Thorax? Came the voice of another drone. Are we interrupting? Would you like us to leave you be? Oh, no, of course not, Thorax stammered with a smile, raising from his throne and venturing out onto the floor. You all deserve to rest now. Please don't let us stop you. And this is actually perfect timing. Thorax shifted his gaze to his 2 guests. Princess Celestia, Spike, I want to show you 2 something. Thorax beckoned the drones to join him by his throne. Though still slightly timid in the presence of a ruler of Equestria, the changelings obliged, some trotting and some fluttering over to join their leader. Thorax laid down against the floor, assuming the comfortable position he had held earlier. As the changelings looked to him for permission, he gave a subtle nod. As you are both aware, changelings feed on love, Thorax began, as the various killer drones joined him on the floor. But we never realized we were able to sustain ourselves long-term through friendship and romance, or rather the feelings of compassion we mutually feel for other creatures. As the drones began to settle, their individual preferences became apparent. While some changelings lay down nearby, keeping a small but modest distance, others dove right in, practically cuddling up to Thorax's side and making themselves comfortable. After we transformed, we discovered something else, Thorax continued, looking around as the last of the group finally settled. With a loving smile, he rested his hoof on the head of a young changeling that had decided to curl up in front of his chest. While long-term relationships sustain us from hunger, physical acts of affection rejuvenate our bodies from fatigue in the present. Celestia could not contain her enchanted smile. Truly remarkable, she said, unable to take her eyes off of the precious scene. Not to mention super cute, and that's coming from me, Spike chuckled. Twilight's gonna go ballistic when I tell her about this. I'm curious, how did you all come upon this discovery? Celestia inquired. A changeling that I know was working on the exterior of the upper hive a few days ago, came the voice of a changeling laying against Thorax's left side. It was freezing that night, so when he came back in shivering, I offered to share my nest burrow with him. After a little while, we both felt so much more alert and full of energy than before. We tested it with other changelings from there, and it happened every time. It works best when you do it with other changelings you know well, because the magic is stronger if there's a pre-existing relationship, another drone chimed in. King Thorax really cares about everyling, so it's always easy when he's around. Thorax gave a goofy smile as the changeling looked up at him. The one time I didn't bring a note-taking score with me, Spike muttered to himself. Twilight's gonna go ballistic, alright. She's gonna kill me for not being prepared. It's quite alright, Spike, Celestia said with a giggle. I'll keep record of this myself and relay it to Princess Twilight. I imagine Princess Cadance in particular will also find this news fascinating. Love magic has always been her speciality. You've already come a long way from what our kind defined as absolute for so long, Thorax stated thoughtfully. It makes me really excited for what else we'll discover, and all the things we can accomplish now that we're more self-sufficient. There was a moment of silence. A few changelings shifted their positions, and Celestia, after glancing at Spike, locked eyes with Thorax. King Thorax, I believe now is a good time to bring up what I'd like to discuss with you today, Celestia said, drawing both Thorax's attention as well as the other changelings. Oh, absolutely. I'm all ears, Thorax replied. Regarding our respective kingdoms, I believe the best approach for improving our relationship past the political level is to slowly integrate your subjects into events and gatherings in Equestria, the princess explained, her calm and patient voice never once waning. Regardless how promising our relationship may be looking towards the future, Chrysos' reign was a long and cruel one, which left many scars upon both Equestria and its inhabitants. Thorax nodded while the changelings remained silent. Some of them paid attention to the princess, their ears perking at the mention of their former leader's name, while a few others began to tune her out, deciding to try to get some sleep while they could. By introducing changelings little by little, I believe the fear and stigma my subjects feel towards yours may slowly ease to a point where changelings may freely roam Equestria as they please, with no panic from its other inhabitants. Thorax's attentive, emotionless expression broke into a satisfied smile. Just the kind of wisdom I always imagined the Princess of Equestria had, he followed up. I agree, Princess. Taking small steps is definitely the way I want to approach this as well. We cannot change the damage done, but we can begin to soothe the fear that the aftermath left. Which brings me to my exciting announcement for you today, the Sun Princess replied, cracks of elation shining through her calm political exterior. Because you played such a crucial role in the triumph over Queen Chrysalis, I would like to cordially invite you to a special dinner at Princess Twilight's castle in Ponyville in the upcoming week. My sister and I wish to grant Discord, Starlight Glimmer, Trixie Lulamoon, and yourself with the Equestrian Pink Hearts of Courage for your bravery and resolve in saving all of Equestria. Thorax gaped in awe, at a loss for words. Several changelings grinned and parted his side in a congratulatory manner. Naturally, if any of your subjects feel comfortable in going, they are more than welcome to join you, Celestia continued. All attendees have already been briefed of your possible attendance, though of course you hold no obligations. Wow, that's amazing, Princess. I'd be totally honored, Thorax replied, initial shock and surprise subduing the glee. I'll definitely attend. And yeah, I'll talk with the changelings to see if any of them feel comfortable in going. Some of them feel out of place and nervous, as I first did, and need time to grow comfortable with the idea of opening up and mingling. But I know others wouldn't mind, so for now, I'll go on a volunteer basis. Celestia nodded with understanding. Perfectly natural. I hold no expectations on the time it will take our subjects to grow comfortable with one another. I simply wish to leave out a warm welcome for when they are ready. Many wonderful events can be attended by anyone in Equestria, and beyond, given a quaint invitation. The upcoming Summer Sun celebration is an example. You need only let me or Princess Twilight know in advance if you require any assistance with attending any equestrian events. Thorax gave a pleasant nod of his own, and Celestia's attention turned to Spike. Thanks to Spike, you are already welcome with open arms within the Crystal Empire, Celestia pointed out. I recommend you in keeping touch with Princess Cadance as well, King Thorax. I believe coordinating with her and the Crystal Ponies would prove beneficial as an initial step for your subjects as well. I bet Cadance and Shining Armor would love to have you and the changelings visit them, Spike chimed in. Other ponies in Equestria would probably start to open up too, once they see Princess Cadance accepting you in her own kingdom. That's exactly right, Spike, Celestia said with a nod. The Crystal Empire should have few qualms about giving his subjects a chance, and we have you to thank for establishing that connection. This all sounds wonderful, and I'd love to keep in touch with all the princesses throughout this process, actually, Thorax thought out loud, starting to playfully rub the head of the unsuspecting changeling laying against his chest. The drone jolted in surprise, immediately taking evasive action to try to avoid the alpha changeling's assault. I'm sure Princess Twilight, as well as Princess Cadance, could help me with advice on how to proceed next. While a few other changelings watched the absent-minded playing with amusement, Celestia rose from her spot on the floor with a look of satisfaction and contentment. I will be sending you a scroll as soon as I've addressed my subjects regarding your crowning, King Thorax, and a list of equestrian events that your subjects may find of interest in the future, Sun Princess said warmly. In the meantime, I suggest you contact Princess Cadance and see what her thoughts are. I am confident she would be delighted to work with you on forging a relationship between the changelings and the Crystal Ponies. Thorax sensed that the political discussions were coming to an end for now. He tried to stand up to join the majestic princess, but by this point 4 or 5 fast-asleep changelings had turned him into little more than an extra-large pillow, and he couldn't deprive them of the sleep they had just obtained. Instead, Thorax gave Celestia a beaming smile. I look forward to hearing from you, Princess, he said, keeping his voice calm and quiet as to not wake any of the sleeping drones. Thank you so much for your time. Being a new king doesn't feel nearly as frightening, knowing that I have such kind allies ready to offer me help. The Sun Princess took a few steps forward and looked down upon the precious scene before her once more. King Thorax was surrounded on all sides by various colored drones, all fast asleep, having tucked themselves against his body. Beyond them was an even larger amount of drones, sitting down, the legs tucked underneath themselves, content with simply relaxing nearby their king. Many of them gazed at the towering Alucon with a childlike wonder, their colorful compound eyes almost hypnotizing. I've lived for several millennia, King Thorax, and in that time, I have never had the pleasure to stand within a changeling hive and discuss a future relationship between our kingdoms, Celestia said, voice equally lowered. The compassion you have for your subjects, as well as other creatures, is truly unparalleled. More than any monarch I've held relations with, I can tell you will be a wonderful king indeed. The young changeling leader could feel his heart, along with his composure, melt away swiftly. With great difficulty, Thorax fought back tears from the corner of his eyes. Thank you, Princess Celestia, he managed out. That means so much coming from you. Is something wrong, Your Highness? Thorax's attention was drawn to the few drones that had previously been asleep by his sides. Now, if by a silent alarm clock, they were waking up, some of them already sitting up straight and scanning his face carefully, a few confused looks, a few worried ones, and even still more simply watching to see what would happen next. I'm fine, thank you, Thorax replied, trying to keep his composure for their sake. Why did you all wake up so suddenly? Did you have nightmares? I was having a great dream, actually, one drone replied. I just woke up and you were crying, pitched in another, cocking an eyebrow. That's a little unnerving to wake up to, Your Highness. Thorax chuckled nervously. Yeah, I suppose it is, isn't it? He said, rubbing his head. Sorry to worry you all. Spike, who had kept rather quiet for the majority of the sappy ending statements, was now watching the changelings with heightened curiosity and confusion. Sitting on the floor by the Alicorn Princess, he watched the group of drones continue to chat among themselves. Hey, Princess Celestia? What do you think just happened? The Purple Dragon asked, just loud enough for Celestia to hear. I believe King Thorax and his subjects are continuing to discover the role love plays in their lives, she replied, the radiant smile she'd been wearing since they stepped foot in the hive, still going strong. King Thorax spoke of how physical connection amplifies their relationships, the love that they share. Perhaps even changes in emotional states can affect this unique connection. Twilight's gonna eat me alive, Spike mumbled, his face in his claws. She'll be like, Spike, what were you thinking not bringing your note-taking supplies on a trip like this? And I'll be all, oh, sorry, Twilight, I was excited to see my best friend Thorax again, and kind of forgot I needed to take note on changeling eating habits. Spike felt a gentle, soft hoof placed on his head. Come on, Spike, Celestia said softly. I think it's time we leave them be for now. Wait, huh? Spike fumbled, getting up from his spot and giving the princess pleading eyes. But I've hardly gotten any time to hang out with Thorax. There will be time for that, Spike. However, for now, it appears your friend is very busy. I think we've taken up enough of his attention for today. The small dragon crossed his arms and gave the regal Sun Princess a skeptical look, a look of which Celestia was not all unfamiliar with, and one she could only giggle at. Why don't we return to Equestria for now, Spike? And we can have Princess Twilight promise to make a follow-up trip very soon, Celestia offered. As you so aptly put, I'm sure she'll be very eager to make her own return to the Changeling Kingdom as soon as she can spare the time. Yeah, well, she'll bug Thorax the entire time with a checklist of questions, Spike muttered, watching as Celestia turned her attention to the Changeling King one final time. King Thorax, you and your subjects appear to be doing remarkably well. I wish to leave you to work on your hive for now, she explained. We now have a solid basis for a plan, and I will relay it to the other princesses. You may contact Princess Cadance when you feel the time is right, and in the meantime, please await my scroll by this time next week. That sounds perfect, Princess Celestia. I'll contact Princess Cadance as soon as the hive has been complete, which should be in about a week or so, the Changeling King replied, feeling one of his subjects climb on his back, much to the amusement of the other drones. Within just a few minutes, they had all gone from timid and cautious to regular shenanigans around the Sun Princess. Thorax thought it must be a true testament to how calm and relaxed she was, despite being royalty. See ya, Thorax, Spike called, waving a claw and following the princess's lead towards the large throne room doors. Sorry we couldn't hang out much this time, but I'm gonna come back with Princess Twilight really soon, okay? We'll hang out then. I've got a really awesome game I want to show you too. That sounds great, Spike. Please tell Princess Twilight and the others that I send my regards. With waving hooves and smiling faces, the Sun Princess and young dragon departed the hive throne room, leaving Thorax and the changelings behind. As soon as the doors closed behind their guests, Thorax felt the drone perched on his back stand up, resting his upper legs and head between Thorax's wicked antlers. King Thorax, do you really think we can be friends with equestrians after everything that's happened? the drone inquired. Thorax could barely make out the drone's ears and snout in his upper peripheral. I know we can, Thorax stated with a smile. This isn't Chrysalis's kingdom anymore. It's ours. The princesses of Equestria had gotten to where they are today through teamwork and love shared with all of their subjects, and we'll do the same. Thorax looked around him, at the various bug horses all watching him closely. His subjects, yes, but also the very close friends he had wished to have from the very beginning. Now it was up to him to guide and protect them, to play and achieve with them. Thorax couldn't be more proud. Alright, let's finish this hive, Thorax announced, excitement and motivation rising in his voice. I want you all to go over to Hallway V, and let the squad there know that it's time to switch our shifts. I'll help them recuperate, while you all continue where they left off. Once V, X, T, and Z have been fully completed, I want all the teams to converge for finishing the main chamber of the south part of the hive before tonight. We're going to make this the greatest home any changeling has ever had. With an eruption of excited cheers, the numerous drones took to the air with a flurry of buzzing wings. So, Princess, Spike said, flicking a few brambles from his shoulder as they emerged from the opposite side of the dense forest surrounding the Changeling Kingdom. Will you be able to clean up my remains after Twilight blasts me to smithereens for forgetting to take notes about Changeling hugs? Celestia giggled to herself and gave the dragon a modest expression. Come on now, Spike. Give Twilight a little more credit than that, she said. She's come a long way from the studious pony she used to be while she was my student. Yeah, she's changed a lot in some ways, Spike admitted, though in others she's still kind of excessed. She's had 2 separate book sortations within the last months, alone. If you ask me, Princess, I think being cooped up in that castle and not getting to go on friendship missions is messing with her head. As I said, I will relay all of what we learned today to Princess Twilight myself, Celestia replied. I will even make sure she has a return visit in place between the two of you before I leave for Canterlot. I know how much it means for you to spend time with your friend, and I'm sure it will be a priority for Twilight as well. Spike smiled. Thanks, Princess Celestia, he said quietly. You're very welcome, Spike, she replied. A few moments of silence passed, while the two walked towards the setting sun on Equestria's horizon. By the way, Spike, Celestia said suddenly. Yeah? What's a book sortation? Hey guys, this is Bring It On 66, and I hope you enjoyed Chapter 1 of The King of Love Bugs. I apologize for the lack of readings lately. I've been very busy, and I won't lie with this one. This was supposed to be posted probably about 6 weeks ago, but I got very, very busy, and the first time I record, I lost all of the files for whatever reason, so I had to re-record them and re-edit them, so that kind of sucked. Yes, I'm sure you saw from the title and from what I just said, this is Chapter 1, so this is going to be the first multiple chapter story I'm going to be doing, and this is a story I really enjoy, even though it's incomplete. I will try my best to post a video or a chapter of this every 1 or 2 weeks, although it's probably going to be more like 2 weeks before I can get another episode of this or video of this out. Because the chapters are a few thousand words each, and that puts a lot of work on me when I go to record them. Recording is easy, it's just going back and editing out all the mistakes that take a while. So if you like what you see and you'd like to see more, click that subscribe button. Like I said, I'll do my best to post a chapter of the story. Probably every 2 weeks is probably what it's going to be. So with that, my name is Bring It On 66, and I'll see you in the next video.